The Athene Real Talk Podcast explores controversial ideas to stimulate debate and active thinking. These ideas do not always reflect Athene's personal views. Welcome to the Athene Real Talk Podcast.
He has been called the best gamer in the world, hands down.
World-famous gamer and philanthropist Athene.
Gaming for Good, it's called, has raised more than $20 million.
Using his notoriety to raise money for charity.
On activism, science, culture, and self-development.
Proud to have him in the studio today. I would not want to take you on in a video game.
If God isn't real, then what's the point of life? God gives people reason. Without an afterlife or divine purpose, what do we really live for? The Don, I can give you a very satisfying answer to that. Actually, today I was reading some stuff on the internet where people were talking about nihilism. It was a Reddit thread. And I was literally facepalming because people are so ignorant when they talk about nihilism. And they were saying, like, how do you give your life purpose in this nihilistic? But the thing is, life is what purpose is. They say, like, oh, what's the purpose in the context of the universe? But how can you even have the universe as a reference frame? Whenever you make a statement, whenever you talk about something, you always need a reference frame to do so. And in our situation, when we talk, our own consciousness is a reference frame. And the reference frame defines the extent to which you're consistent or not. I mean, a rock is a different reference frame than a human. But can you even have a rock as a reference frame to begin with? Because a rock does not experience itself. But then you can even question what is a rock? Because the rock is just a concept in our mind. We labeled it as a rock. But what is a rock? What is the universe? So like the best example that I like to give with this very big flawed rhetoric is that when we imagine a blind person, you imagine that he sees nothing. But when I say like, yeah, what does he see? What is this nothing? You say, I just see black, right? No. A blind person sees as much as you see through your elbow. And that's the thing. The problem, whether or not we have purpose or not, is not one that is theoretical or one that is philosophical, but it's a neuroscientific question. Because we have the tendency to emotionally think binary, good or bad. So when we think about purpose, we say like, oh, if there is no purpose, then there is no purpose. But the thing is, relative to the universe, purpose just doesn't exist. Just like a blind person can't see. So it's not like the universe has no purpose. Relative to the universe, purpose just doesn't exist. That doesn't mean there is no purpose. Because purpose is a concept that is created by humans. And because of so, you have to define it within that context. So what has purpose and what doesn't have purpose is relative to what we are. And understanding what we are is looking at life, looking at our history. And then we do have purpose, which is evolving, moving forward. So when you say like, yeah, why do we live? We need a God. No, you don't need a God. You need to understand what you are. You need to understand that life is bigger than you. Life is not about you. You are about life. Just as much as life is not about experience. Experience is about life. You're merely a tool in the grander scheme of things. Just like your cells in your body function, just like you function in society. The moment you make it about you, the moment you grow up and you live your life for you, obviously you will feel like life has no meaning, because if you cut yourself out of the grander picture, of course you have no meaning, no purpose. But just as much as what life has brought you about, what you bring about for the future and what ripples, that is why you're here. And then you might say like, yeah, but everything is gonna end up destroying itself anyway. Why? Why is that? Because of your very narrow understanding of reality? I mean, look how technology has allowed us to overcome the craziest obstacles. If you'd go 2,000 years ago and you'd say what we could do now, they would call you a god. So the extent to which you frame like the future and say, oh, we will all go to a freeze, like the universe will freeze, it's because you think inside your own frame of reference. Maybe we'll even be able to overcome time and space itself. I mean, what are the limits? We can't use our simple understanding and be arrogant and understand what the end goal is. No, we don't. Just as much as a cell didn't know it could evolve to what we are now, we don't know where we're going. And as much as you just understand and keep going and keep contributing, you have a very strong purpose to live for. That's why people that feel like, life is nothing, until they have a child, they suddenly go like, yeah, it's not just about me anymore. That's why having a selfless awareness is so important. Because you realize life is not about you. So you don't go about like, yeah, I need a God to justify why I exist because I want to live forever after. No. You just accept your part in the bigger scheme and you do what you got to do. And funnily enough, that's what you owe your own life to. Your ancestors taking care of each other, taking care of you, and you taking care of your children or the people around you. Doesn't even have to be your children. That's what life is about. It's about the bigger picture. It's about life itself. And it's when we are arrogant and we're really stuck in our own little head that we lose this track. We need to come up with ideas like souls or identity to find this consistency. But if you understand what we are, you don't need it. You get it from the patterns, from the fabric of life itself. Cause and effect, action, reaction. You understand it. You embrace uncertainty because everything is probabilistic and you just do what you can do. You're result-oriented rather than outcome-dependent. You don't label yourself or judge yourself based on emotions because you know you first experienced them even before you're aware of them. You don't see black and white because you understand emotions are binary. Our ability to understand what we are opens doors, not just towards ourselves, but towards the world. It's a journey, and it doesn't end with you just as much as it doesn't start with you. And the moment you accept that on a fundamental level, not only don't you need a god or anything, but you'll be much more of an enlightened being, to put it that way, than any other attachments you have. Because even you yourself, you've managed to let that go, which is something you've learned to begin with. Think about that. So what do you think is the most important thing that needs to be changed in the world? You. I think you. For you, it's you. For me, it's me. For anyone else, it's them. That's the cause of all the problem in the world, is you yourself. And the extent you can do something about it. So being as responsible as possible and don't make any bullshit excuses, that's how you change it. Because you don't have any influence on your circle of concern. Everything I do right now is, even speaking, is just what I can do. I try to inspire people to inspire themselves. I try to make people more responsible. But for you, it is you. For me, it's what I can do. I don't look at the world and go like, what can I do to change the world? I think, what can I do to do better? That's what I think every day. And it's what makes me so effective. It's that approach. Most of that money was raised from 15-year-olds using their parents' credit cards without permission. How polite. I don't care. See it then as a Robin Hood. It's not like people are struggling. If you don't have food on your table and you're starving, I think you are more entitled to food than if you are living in luxuries and your only thing that you wonder is whether you're going to get a better iPhone or not. You understand that? So I don't even feel bad about that. It's like the entitlement of your wealth. It's one of the craziest ones. Society is filled with it. You really think you're entitled to what you have, even though what you have is merely defined by rules. You can literally have $100 billion and think that's fair. Yeah, it's capitalism. You worked for it. It's your money. You can own more than an entire fucking country and still think that's fine. No, that's not fine. That's fucked up, man. It's fucked up that one side of the planet is obese and killing themselves, eating themselves, while the other one is starving. That's not nice and fair. That's just disgusting. It's absurd. It's the world upside down. And the only thing that you do to justify this inequality is your fucking liberties that are shown like freedom and equality. Bullshit. On one end, it's used for you to buy all that shit, but on the other hand, when it's confronted with the hypocrisy, you just go, no, it's mine, I worked for it. Is that your excuse? When you hear about CEOs and big companies making tons of money, you're the first one to point fingers and go like, oh, these fucking leeches, parasites. When you're the one doing the same thing, then it's fine. It's quite crazy if you think about it, right? We live in a planet where there is no lack of resources anymore. We don't live like 2,000 years ago where there was not enough. There is enough to end all human caused suffering. We don't need kids to die from nothing. We don't. And people even believe that. They actually believe, like, yeah, they live in a desert. Do you know that Las Vegas is also in a desert? We have the ability to change the world if we take responsibility. And you guys all know this shit. You know that kids dying in Africa right now is crazier than slavery? It's a crazier setting. The only difference is it's not in your face. It's quite disgusting when you think about it. And don't tell me, yeah, what do you do about it? Every day I see what I can do about it. And I try to fix the cause. You know the sad part? The cause is you. You are the cause. And you are also the change. And you can't point fingers to others, say like, no, it's them. No, it's you. Start acting responsible and you fix it. That's how it spreads. That's how you change the world. Through you. Not through others. Through you. And everything else is an excuse. That's why I allow people to come over. Allow people to put their hands together. Todikus says, I hate to say it, but these problems existed long before I was born, so I don't think I'm the problem. Todikus, what kind of an excuse is that? It's because of people that really worked hard and tried to do something about it that made you put in the situation where you can even type in the chat. Do you know what's really funny? If the dice would have rolled differently, you would be in Africa right now, and you wouldn't think from this arrogant perspective. Reality defines everything. Imagine if you're a kid in Africa, right? And you know a version of you could completely help you, and it's not doing it. How would that make you feel? It's called projection. I would feel disgusted. Because it's very easy to have this comfort, ignorant point of view, where you speak from your spoiled, luxurious, privileged situation, and go like kings, speaking about the plebs in the streets while they're eating, the other ones are starving. That's not how you move forward. That's not how you contribute. That's not how you share. And on the other hand, it's giving. That giving mindset, that selfless mindset, it's more liberating than anything. Definitely where we are, if you wake up and you constantly are being teased and controlled by things you want more, you want more, you want more. Do you know, like you're being chased by demons? Do you know how liberating it is to just let go and just not take for granted what you have and just appreciate your situation? You feel so much richer than anyone that has anything. Because funnily enough, if you chase that experience, you'll never have enough. It will never end. That's why millionaires want to become billionaires. Even if you can have more than you can spend your entire life, it just never ends. The moment you understand that life is not about wanting more, that life is just about reality, that life is about life itself, it's really freeing. Imagine you wake up and you don't have to think about what do I want right now, but you just do, you give. Do you know how a fulfilling feeling it is to not care about yourself? That's what I mean with selflessness. It is so liberating. It creates a sense of serenity. You're constantly in the present. You just appreciate the small things. Athene, I like what you're doing, and I respect your millions of dollars to starving kids, but complaining about the first world not doing anything is a waste of time because that will never change. We will always have the first world and the third world. Bullshit. Trouble dada. Even the word of first world and third world is already fading away. When people say this shit, what kind of an excuse, man? It's not true. South Korea used to be an underdeveloped country, and now look where it is. Same with Singapore. It's one of the richest countries in the world. Don't make these excuses, man. By 2030, based on UN resolutions, we'll probably have completely exterminated extreme poverty. You can't come with these shitty labels to justify your bullshit, man. That's really like how you get nowhere. It's like that guy, whenever you try to do something, that guy that constantly tries to demotivate you, saying like, oh, this, that, all that negativity. It gets you nowhere. Do you understand that? Gets you nowhere, and you know that. Don't use these bullshit excuses, you know better. Do you have any group activities with all people involved? No, not really. Like, people get to do what they want to do, you know? And when I say what they want to do, I don't mean like they just get to sit on their ass. It's about what they want to do in terms of right action. It's like something I also talked about with Katarina. And basically the word wanting is actually quite confusing because it should have different layers. Because when you say you want a better world or you want a new iPhone, the verb wanting is the same one, even though both of them are very different. Wanting something from a very selfish, irresponsible angle is very different than wanting something from a responsible, selfless angle. And a lot of people, when they hear the word wanting, they connect it based on how they look at the world. You know, I want this, I want that. So when I say letting go what you want, then I mean like letting go what you want from an irresponsible, selfish angle. But yeah, I even talked, is there even a different word? Because wanting is the same verb even though they're two completely different things. The language is very important. What about having fun in life? Is it okay to be a little selfish? No, it's not. You know, having fun is a mechanic. It's a reward system that is connected to doing what you believe is right on a fundamental level that connects cause with effect. It all has to do with basic conditioning. Thinking in work and fun is literally causing duality. If you just do what you have to do at any given time and be responsible without having people judge you or create expectations, then you are in a flow where you self-amplify your actions and just feel fulfilled all the time. You don't care so much about happiness, you don't care about pleasure because these things just happen automatically as you do what is right. So the idea of this duality is just a conditioning in society that completely makes absolutely no fucking sense. The society every day is teaching us how to be more efficient, responsible, how to create the biggest impact. But how can you achieve that level if I can't fight with problems inside of me? I think that first we should be able to figure out the problems around us before starting helping others. This society is not teaching you how to have the biggest impact and be most efficient. That's bullshit. Society is teaching you how to have a great life where everything is about you and where you have to make a lot of money and career and be successful and have fame and buy all shit you don't need and impress people you don't give a shit about for people that don't care about you. That's what society is about. It's not about doing what's right. Not at all. And that's why you even say that shit. It's an excuse. You know exactly what I'm saying. And when you say like, yeah, I have problems myself. No, you don't. You don't have fucking problems. Every single problem you bring up is a fucking excuse. I'll give you some real problems, put you in the middle of the desert or in Syria in the middle of the civil war. Then you have a real problem. Right now, you don't. And all these problems you just use to give excuses to not be responsible. Fuck that shit. And it's not because your friends and your family and everybody around you is just sussing you and making you feel better with your self-pity that it's a real problem. No, it doesn't work. You know you're bullshitting yourself, and the funny thing is, actually more the sad thing, it's screwing up yourself and the world. Lerpana says, and you can't really compare two different cultures. It doesn't make you a better person when you see your family get bombed in Syria. There is no real problems, just shitty people killing others. And that's how it is going to be as long as the humankind lives. It's bullshit excuse. It's not true, man. We've come already a long way. So that's just bullshit what you're saying. That bullshit excuse. And I know you vibe with what I'm saying. I know you agree with what I'm saying. Because when it comes down to responsibility and these things, you just know it. You don't also draw borders. I mean, we're all equal. What are you going to say? Like, oh, it's a different nation. It's not my problem. Fuck that shit. Why is it not your problem? It's just like 150 years ago saying like slavery is not my problem. It's fine to have slaves. It's not because your culture is saying it's fine that it's fine. Look at World War II, gassing Jews. That was fine in Germany. No, it was not. Even if the culture was really there to turn Jews into the bad guys, it was not fine. Just as much as 150 years ago, slavery was not fine, just as much today, it is not fine that kids are dying for nothing, while we can do something about it. And maybe your fucking culture and bullshit excuses doesn't see that, but the kids, or the kids of your kids, if they still even exist, they will fucking look back and say, the fuck? These people were in the easiest spot ever, even easier than our ancestors, to do something about it, and they were so full of shit. Is being altruistic the most logical behavior in your mind? Joel Hansen. Being altruistic is just what you are. And I said, what do you mean? Being selfish is a narrow interpretation of selflessness. Because the self you're talking about is also your environment. Your environment, the people around you, are part of what you are. Even from a neurological perspective, your consciousness, everything you experience, everything, is part of what you are. And that also includes what brought it about, which is the past. So understanding what you are makes you realize that you're merely a part of something bigger. Just like your cells are part of your body, you are part of a bigger system and everything is interconnected. So when you just understand that, not only does it provide selflessness from a neurological perspective, but also from a bigger perspective where you just zoom out and look at life and evolution of life. So yeah, altruism is not that altruism is what is logical. Altruism is just automatic, consistent behavior within the bigger picture of what you are.
Subscribe to youtube.com/AtheneWins. Watch the live stream at twitch.tv/AtheneLive and follow The Real Athene on Snapchat.